Good evening and live from Banjul, this is GRTS News at 2200 hours with me, Winifred Nicole. In the headlines this evening, the Commonwealth Observer Group under the leadership of former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo arrives in the Gambia ahead of the December 4th presidential election. Political campaigns ahead of Saturday's presidential election by 6 presidential candidates gain momentum across the metropolis, with aspirants holding last day's campaign for votes. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure participates in the 18th International Inter-Ministerial Conference on South-South Cooperation on Population and Development. The Gambia Red Cross Society inaugurates a newly constructed borehole for the community of Akandonko village in Fonyi, West Coast region. In the internationals, a new COVID-19 variant, Omicron virus, has discovered in South Africa, plugging uncertainty in global health response. Well, viewers, those are the headlines. Well, many thanks for joining GRTS News once again. We begin this edition of the bulletin with the arrival of the Commonwealth Observer Group to the Gambia ahead of the December 4th presidential polls. The delegation under the leadership of former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo arrived in Banjul on Saturday at the invitation of the Independent Electoral Commission of the Gambia. The Commonwealth Secretary General, retired Honorable Patricia Scotland, QC, has constituted a 9-member Commonwealth Observer Group comprising of the following. His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo, former President of Nigeria, as chairperson; Prosper Bani, former Minister of Interior, Ghana; Honorable Martha Karu, former Minister of Justice, Kenya; Robert Afiri, Executive Director, Public Affairs Commission, Malawi; Hendrik Gapi, former Chairperson, Electoral Commission, Shimalaya Government's Executive Director, Center for Equality and Justice, Sri Lanka; Candia Dams, Executive Editor of the Naswa Guardian, the Bahamas; Crispin Kahiru, Commissioner, Uganda, Human Rights Commission, Uganda; and Musa Weyi, SC, former Attorney General, Zambia. The release continued that the Observer Group will represent the 54 Commonwealth member states in the Gambia and will engage stakeholders, briefings with political parties, the police, civil society groups, citizen, observer, and monitor groups, and the media. The mandate of the Commonwealth Observer Group is to observe and evaluate the pre-election environment, polling day activities across the country, and post-election period. The delegation shall also consider whether conditions exist for a credible, transparent, and inclusive election, including whether there is a level playing field for candidates, whether public media has been impartial, whether the administration of the electoral process has been transparent, and whether the rule of law has been adhered to. After the elections, the group will issue a report and observe the post-election period to determine whether the Gambia has lived by its democratic principles and international obligations. The delegation assures all political players and the electorate of their impartiality, objectivity, and independence. The release concludes. Let's now continue our special campaign coverage on the 6 presidential aspirants breaking grounds on the 2021 presidential campaign trail for the road to the State House. Flag bearer of the National People's Party, led coalition and incumbent presidential candidate, His Excellency Adama Barrow, yesterday denied accusations that his government facilitated the deportation of Gambian youths from Europe. The Gambian leader described it as baseless propaganda by his opponents to discredit him and his government. President Barrow was speaking during meetings held at Ibo Town and Bundunkakunda in the Kanifing municipality. Mamadou Jallo picks up the rest of that story.
The campaign for the December 4th presidential election now enters its final week, with candidates battling out in the urban areas. The NPP-led coalition Sunday held 2 rallies in Ibo Town and Bundunkakunda in the Kanifing municipality. At Ibo Town, the discourse centered on the deplorable state of the road and drainage infrastructure, with residents looking up to the incumbent to fix the problem as he did the capital city Banjul. With such optimism, they pledged to massively vote for him, ahead of his opponents who they believe have no workable strategy to address the problems that have made life in these flood-prone areas virtually unbearable. The constituency chairman, Kebalo, senior APRCI Compin Fatou Faye and Jenema Barrow led the chorus of speakers heaping praise on President Barrow as the only viable candidate who can address the problems of the people of the Kanifing municipality, given his already enviable track record across the country. Anything new to the people, as opposed to Barrow, who symbolizes peace and development. He therefore warned against
President Adama Barrow joxna len ko be mut sek.
The incumbent expressed solidarity with the 5-year mandate to construct the roads and drainage system in Ibo Town. The next 5 years, President Barrow added, will prove pivotal in the Gambia's quest to attain sustainable development, as he plans to replicate him do not hurt his personality, but are merely showing contempt for the institution of the presidency. The incumbent then led his campaign caravan to Bundung, where equally impressed by a dozen speakers, who all predicted a landslide victory for the NPP-led coalition. The youth and wheel bus led by Adama Barrow. In a passionate appeal to the youth, the incumbent revealed plans to prioritize their welfare through job creation, skills and vocational training, and entrepreneurship development to minimize irregular migration to Europe, dismissing it as baseless propaganda used by his opponents to discredit him and his administration. President Barrow finally urged the youth to look inwards that victory is certain on December 4th. The campaign continues in the Kanifing municipality with 2 more rallies in Bakau and Serekunda.
Continued its 2021 presidential election campaign. The political rally was marked by thousands of party loyalists demonstrating their unflinching support and commitment to lead the December 4th president.
The coastal town in Comonoth, Sanamentring constituency, showing their support and solidarity to the United Democratic Party. A flow of ambience for Gambia for All, Bakari Bunjadabo, said the United Democratic Party is the only party that can bring sustainable economic growth and development in the country. He described the party leader as well as compassion for the poor and the needy come December 4th.
ñëpp xam la xamee ko banko kano banko do ko kendo ci buga réew bi ak liggéey réew mi sanji tan naani nim feng man sa kunda kono mu nekk ci nguur maalon kula fo do ko kendo ko xamul ko ci dara lu dul liggéey bu rafet ak lu baax ay vision so ye xamoo soto ye la jamoje be nga xam ne kii fu sori la gis ci lu baax la ta banko sambala damen te fa la buga jëmale ko ab réew ni ma wo soto so amul vision boobu place dun tebul ne ko ci Alaaji Ousainou nem Dabo anaare ke moti fana mu nekk nit ko xam ne tamit ay bala fa soto miskino li
because of nationalism. She noted that it is time for change to improve the standard of living in the country.
And we are here to help our brothers and sisters to effect change, fight with all our power, with all our education. Mr. President.
Mr. President.
You have started a battle.
UDP lamu.
2021. UDP. Alaaji
Ousainou Dabo
will be the next president of the Gambia.
As well as unemployment, while imploring on people to effect a change to achieve socio-economic growth.
We have no health care. You go to Banjul Hospital and they sell you.
talala nyotema dindin nani lawan kili.
We have 40% the police live on credit.
Police will kabalu credit la wala mutoja
They get
julo.
paid, they have no money.
Niye police ojo abuka penso do menka tuabulu.
We are complaining a change.
Al falindiro kakale
This
falindiro.
is the democracy you asked for in 2016.
Aliye nyini 2016 wala ka democracy sodo ka jube.
Let's fix our nation.
Lalo Jete commended the diaspora for their support to the party. He noted that politics of divide and rule should not be encouraged in the country, saying that Gambia is one family. Speakers, including the others, lamented on the lack of basic amenities in GRTS.
While still on the road to the state Hakama in the West Coast region, as political aspirants towards the urban Gambia to mobilize voters ahead of Saturday's presidential election. Our senior correspondent Louis Mendy reports.
GDC Friday triumphant return to the metropolis to solicit more votes ahead of the December election was followed by several meetings in the West Coast region. In Basuri Kuta, Bamusa Jata told the youth of you choose as the next president, pointing to Mama Kande as the best choice. Similar messages were not to sell their votes, but instead shun any politician who tries to manipulate them into doing so. Speaking on behalf of the women of Kombo East, Fatu Kamara assured Mama Kande of victory in December. Fatu used the opportunity to solicit support from Mama Kande to help them fix their electricity and education problems. The school lunch are a financial burden to us, she said. Mama has helped to pave our road. Meeting was also attended by Council of Elders of the Kombo East, among them Yaya Sanyang, who showed Mama Kande of victory ahead of the December polls. A private citizen who spent his money to better humanity will make the country paradise. What opposition parties are doing for them is a desperate government, because that question should be theirs as custodians of public funds, which they are expected to bring back to the citizenry as sustainable socio-economic development. In Marakisa, Makumbaya, and Birikama, residents of the area said only the GDC strong voice. Sadio Jallo of Birikama said the women and youth are suffering under the current market price and insecurity and want change of governance. The next 5 years will be tougher, said Sadio, if the political landscape remains. Satisfied with the level of turnout and support, Mama Kande encouraged GDC expect the IEC to use the electoral laws to punish political parties that use money to buy votes during the campaign.
Wala tuna nyimpalaso.
Wada palasti.
Mba nyina bari mansila Cairo.
Jami Gambia.
Natara abentela bulokono.
Sufeke de silohom na neka. Jami Gambia.
Anin Gambia la nyatota.
Dem kanane Gambia.
Wo tentela bulokono.
Amut ko silohom.
Mansula palaso.
The leader and Secretary General of the People Democratic Organization for Independence and Socialism, PDOIS, yesterday continued his promise to provide the people of Sunchu Alaji and satellite communities within the Old Union constituency with basic social amenities if elected into office on December 4th. Well, our senior
Speaking in Sunchu Alaji on Sunday evening, 104th and the order leading to poverty and suffering, adding that the only way to rescue the country from falling in that trap is by voting for a system change in this year's election. He promised to make the Gambian example in the world in 5 years if voted into office. He underscored the need for what he called aims to establish a cooperative state that provides services to all and render protection for all. The vibrant parliamentarian said PDOIS is envisioning the path of a new era of sovereign republic with sovereign people who are architects of a destiny free from ignorance, injustice, and the national chairman of PDOIS, who is also the National Assembly member for Woolly West, Honorable Sidia Jata, urged their voters to vote massively, saying this year's election will mark a new turning point in the democratization process of the country. Ibrahim Jany and Alaji Mamadi Kurang respectively enjoined the people of Sinthiou Alaji and surrounding to vote massively for the PDOIS-led coalition of their unflinching support and loyalty. Meanwhile, the leadership of the PDOIS and their coalition partners on Sunday convened a press conference at the PDOIS Political Bureau in Churchill Town to brief the media on their campaign activities in provincial Gambia, describing it as successful over 3 decades career as a politician. The talk continues. For GRTS News, this is Yero Jallo reporting.
Political campaign within the Greater Banjul area after 2 weeks at provinces. The NUP held meetings in Jiboro, Basori, Lamin Kerawan, Willingara and Sukuta in the West Coast region. Their campaign trail is led by Secretary General and Standard Bearer Abdullah Ibrahim Ajame, who is promising to ensure universal health coverage with the aim of providing good quality healthcare services in the hospitals and health centers for all Gambians if voted into office. Usman Mane is with the NUP. The campaign trail of Team Turnaround led by S. With a meeting in Bakau yesterday. As Ibrahim Jallo reports, the only independent presidential candidate and a team are continuing their grassroots mobilizations ahead of Saturday's election. More in this report.
Affair, calling on electorate in the city to support his bid for the presidency. Esambay Fall announced a practical development program for the country to be implemented if elected. Mr. Fall and team drove out of Banjul on Saturday evening for a rally in Galawaya, a few minutes drive northeast of the Banjul International Airport. Young people of this village, including one Usman Ba, said they have confidence in Mr. Fall and will vote for him to effect change in December. Assured them of rapid transformation if he wins the election. From Galoya, the team headed to Bundung in the Kanifi municipality for a similar engagement with electorate in the area.
dañ am obligation pour fay nit ñi salary yoo xam ne dinañ mun a dunda ñun soo nga xam ne average family bi dina mun a dunda nga fay ko lu mun a dunda.
Which according to him has lost value.
Botanical gardens lañ ko doon wax mooy fii importance bi mu amoon.
Ako kumaya membe nyundula no
di janga different façon yi garab
ako kana karawala je me yalon ko yilo sifa
di janga
tara je me yalon flower ko attract
njeriñ gi lolu am
ako kumaya membe wala no
moy dafa prepare xale bi for science education in the future.
Nunto
Sénégal sa suñ bëggee gis yi fii la ñoo ñëw
din Sénégal la tañu beengol jëlé kana na Gambia banko
amu ko fii lañ amoon everything
ako amu ko ñim beengol bébé nu jëlé
mu nekk an impressive nature reserve
on food sufficiency
ca Gambia
fi nga xam ne
ako lame yalon ko
yàlla daf ñu ko may
ala fangole ni bo wala
pour ñu mëna produce all the rice we need for
Ibrahima Jallo, GRTS News.
Well, moving on, the Vice President, Her Excellency Dr. Aissatou Touré, today participated in addressing participants via an online platform. Dr. Touré highlighted the theme promoting South-South cooperation for attaining ICPD and the Agenda 2030. Dr. Touré also spoke at length on the significance of the Gambia's participation in South-South cooperation, underlining its gains in gender, population and development. Here is more.
The Gambia has realized that there is a huge potential for development support through South-South cooperation. The exchange of ideas and sharing of best practices can significantly help address some perennially serve as a key to success through provision of solutions associated with population and development issues. Long-standing achievements have been registered at country level. However, the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic has strengthened these achievements. The public health crisis, in addition of countries, including the Gambia, to regroup, reassess, and has given priority to investments in the health sector. The commitments on the ICPD, POA, and SDGs by 2030 has guided this political will. The Gambia's commitment to the ICPD Program of Action and the SDGs, SDG 3 in particular. According to this report, it's also been made on both gender-based violence and maternal mortality. Male participation is critical in improving maternal health. The Ministry of Health is doing a lot of sensitization to involve men in this process. Francis Small Teaching Hospital and Carnifing to provide room for male participation during the pregnancy and delivery of their partners. Sexual and gender-based violence and female the police training school for training in GBV and how to manage GBV cases. Ex-circumcisers have willingly dropped their knives in order to save the life. Discriminate against women and girls, including sexual and reproductive health rights, are repealed and replaced by new legislations in support of women's sexual and reproductive health and rights. I am happy to report that the government of the Gambia through the NPCS has developed a new national population policy 2021 to 2030 for the Gambia. The government of the Gambia, strong leadership of President Adama Barrow. The government of the Gambia will continue to embrace and to thank PPD and all member countries of the bloc for this long-standing fruitful cooperation in the interests of the sustainable socio-economic advancements of countries.
Training on food processing, packaging and labeling, 18 Organization for Farmer Associations, the Gambia NACOFAG, targets members of the National Food Processors Association. That by picks up the rest of that story.
The cap and labeling to improve access to market and reduce post-harvest losses. This, according to the president of NACOFAG, Musa Sow, will also enhance the
different stages. First is it would help to prolong the shelf life of what they would process. We all know that storage is a big, and the only way we can remedy that is getting our food being transformed from raw materials as they are. And critical because it is the only way you can communicate to customers the products that are already been processed. What kind of nutrition, the quality is that is already been in those products.
Farmer organizations on food processing is in line with the project's objective on improving access to market and building the climate change resilience of family farms and farmer organizations.
The Roots project has a project development objective to build the resilience of family farms and farmer organizations. The project has different intentions towards building their capacities. And first, to begin with, is to help organize the different CAFOs, be it in the gardens or in the rice growing ecologies. And as such also transform the village farmer associations into cooperatives that will be able to stand towards the interest of the cooperative and support them. In addition, the project also intends to support these farm organizations in terms of input provisions, infrastructure, and equipment.
The initiative saying that it will improve their skills on food processing, packaging, and labeling. This, he said, will enhance their businesses as well as the nutrition of their families. Barley, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and agroforest products into juice, jam, syrups, and cakes.
Over a newly constructed borehole to the community of Kandonko village in Fonyi West Coast region. The borehole funded by the humanity people and their animals. As Khadijaba reports, the community Kandonko for far too long.
Of climate change is being felt by communities living women, especially struggling to meet the International Federation of Red Cross and the Japanese Red Cross Society is meant to support this community. Director of the International Federation of Red Cross and head of delegation for Africa, Mohammed Omar Mukhir, hopes the gesture will augment the difficulties.
Is contributing to water security, to food security, to health security, and to education security. The community is still identifying key gaps to do with transportation, with marketing.
Alassane Senghor assured the people of Kandonko of his office's continuous support to help improve their living standards.
We have a special interest in
this particular project because it's all about climate change and resilience. So duration was spent on how it is being appreciated by the people here.
The contractor, Ibrahim Akor of Swigam, advised the people of Kandongu to take good care of Kandongu Jungdabo on behalf of his people, expressed gratitude to the sponsors for the gesture. With these new borehole beneficial to Ba.
From that report by Khadija Tuba, a quick recap. The Commonwealth Observer Group, under the leadership of former Nigerian press ahead of Saturday's presidential election by 6 presidential candidates, gains momentum, has participated in the 18th International Interministerial Conference on South Hole for the community of Kandonko village in